Albania, hidden gem in the heart of the Balkans, site of ancient history, vibrant culture, and breathtaking landscapes. Only here, the azure waters of the pristine beaches of the Albanian Riviera converge with the majestic peaks of the Accursed Mountains, crystal clear lakes, and lush green valleys. The wealth of UNESCO World Heritage Sites situated in breathtaking landscapes tell the stories of bygone eras. A timeless witness of the rise and fall of empires, Greek and Roman ruins, medieval castles, and Ottoman strongholds clash with 20th century communist bunkers. Albania sets the stage for a rich and diverse nature spectacle. And best of all, Albania is still an affordable travel destination where even more luxurious travel experiences don't break the bank. Over the next week, I was going on a road trip that should take me to the many highlights Albania has to offer. I would revel in charming boutique hotels, savor delectable meals at local traditional restaurants, and get to know so many kind and friendly people that welcomed me with open arms. I could not wait to immerse myself in the soul of this fascinating country and explore all of its wonders. I was ready for my grand road trip through Albania. My road trip would start in Tirana, the vibrant capital of Albania. Tirana is a city that seamlessly blends history, culture, and modernity. And with its colorful streets, rich history, and warm hospitality, Tirana was indeed the perfect starting point for my Albania tour. The center of Tirana is very walkable, as all major highlights of the city are clustered around Skanderbeg Square, which made this historical square the perfect place for my explorations of Tirana. Named after the national hero Skanderbeg, the square is surrounded by important landmarks and government buildings. Skanderbeg Square is not only a place of historical significance, as it was the main parade square for the communist regime, but it has also become a vibrant hub for locals and tourists alike, offering cafes, shops, and a lively atmosphere. The Ethem Bey Mosque, located adjacent to the square, is a stunning example of Ottoman architecture and one of the oldest mosques in the country. The National History Museum, with its massive mosaic facade, showcases Albania's journey through time, and I was fascinated to see the rich set of exhibitions in this communist-era building. Right opposite the museum, on the far end of the square, I went for another truly unique Tirana experience, the thought-provoking Bunk Art 2. This underground bunker-turned-museum offers insights into Albania's communist past. The museum is located inside a massive nuclear bunker built by the communist regime to shelter the country's political elite in case of a nuclear attack. Today, it houses an impressive exhibition that explores the harsh realities of life under communism and provides some artistic takes on the horror. The dark labyrinth corridors take visitors on a journey through the country's history, showcasing the impact of political ideologies on the lives of its people. This should be my first, but definitely not the last bunker I would see in Albania. Albania is the land of bunkers. Some estimate that there are as many as 173,000 bunkers in the country. This has historical reasons. Enver Hoxha, the leader of the Communist Party of Albania, was characterized by extreme paranoia and a deep fear of external threats. Albania pursued a policy of self-reliance and isolation, even cutting ties with the Soviet Union and China. The construction of bunkers was seen as a defense measure against potential invasions or attacks, reflecting Hoxha's belief that Albania needed to be prepared for an external aggression. The construction of bunkers became a symbol of Hoxha's determination to defend Albania at all costs. the bunkers were meant to convey strength and resilience, even if they were ultimately impractical in terms of military strategy and were never used in combat. The massive investment in bunker construction strained the country's resources, which could certainly have been better utilized with the population, but the regime prioritized defense over other economic needs. Today, the bunkers, with their concrete structures dotting the landscapes all across the country, serve as a tangible reminder of the fear and paranoia, telling the story of a bygone era. Just a stone throw away from the museum, I marveled at the impressive Resurrection of Christ Orthodox Cathedral, a huge religious building with a 46-meter bell tower. This massive church was only completed in 2012 and has become Tirana's biggest cathedral and the fourth largest Orthodox church in the world. Opposite the cathedral, I spotted the somewhat undistinguished House of Leaves, but the unremarkable exterior hides a gruesome and haunting history. This was the original headquarters of the Sigurimi, the secret police during the communist era. And this unassuming house concealed the dark secrets of surveillance and espionage. The name House of Leaves is symbolic, referring to the surveillance techniques of leafing through people's lives. Today it's a museum and offers a chilling glimpse into the surveillance methods employed by the communist regime. I explored the rooms filled with audiovisual exhibits, artifacts, and personal stories that highlight the pervasive nature of the surveillance state. This place provided a sobering and thought-provoking experience, allowing me to much better comprehend the extent of control and fear that characterized this period in Albanian history. Crossing the street again and passing the Kruje the cloud sculpture, I headed over to the Tirana castle, or whatever is left of it. The name may be a bit misleading, as this is not a castle. It is rather a very pleasant modern marketplace of fancy restaurants and rather expensive shops that now stand in the area where a castle used to be. It has become a beautiful space to walk around and discover some of the delicacies of Albanian cuisine. Crossing the Lana River that cuts across Tirana, the Pyramid of Tirana, a somewhat strange 1988 concrete structure that was initially supposed to one day hold the remains of Enver Hoxha and that was in a sorry state for many years, has now been reconstructed and modernized, allowing visitors to climb its roof. It offers some nice views across the area and looks particularly nice at night, when the lights illuminate the stairs that lead atop. Opposite the pyramid lies the Bloko district, an exclusive area that used to be reserved for government officials and party members during the communist era. It has since transformed into Tirana's trendiest neighborhood and is now a lively and dynamic area filled with cafes, restaurants and boutiques. Strolling through the colorful streets, I spotted Enver Hoxha's former villa, which is not as impressive as one might think, but nevertheless presented the utmost luxury at the time of his reign. It's closed to the public, but I was able to get a glimpse over the fence on the place from where much of the terror and hardship in bygone times originated. I spent the evening going back to Skanderbeg Square, which was beautifully lit, and had a lovely dinner at Oda restaurant, where I enjoyed the delicious traditional Albanian cuisine. The next stop on my Albania road trip was Berat, often referred to as the city of 1,000 windows. Berat is a picturesque town and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a must-see when visiting the country, as it is renowned for its well-preserved Ottoman architecture, historic charm, and stunning setting in the rugged mountain landscapes of central Albania. The town has a rich history dating back over 2,400 years and has been continuously inhabited since ancient times. Its thick walls have witnessed the influence of various civilizations, including Illyrians, Romans, Byzantines, and Ottomans. The latter have left a remarkable footprint in its historic center, consisting of white Ottoman houses with distinctive large windows and beautiful mosques that line the many narrow, winding streets and stone-paved alleys. I started my explorations of the famous Gjirokaster Bridge, a historic stone bridge over the Ozum River connecting the Gjirokaster quarter with the Mangalem quarter. From here, one already can get some of the iconic views of Berat's famous old town. From there, I paid a visit to the Ethnographic Museum, which provides a glimpse into the rich local traditions of Berat and the sub-region. Dominating the town is the Berat Castle, a massive fortress that dates back to the 4th century BC. From here, I was able to get panoramic views of the town and the surrounding landscape. The castle is accessible via a main road, but I chose to take the beautiful climb at the outer flanks of the mountain that provides some fantastic perspectives of the valley down below. So when you come here, I highly recommend you take this pathway that leads around the mountain up to the fortress. Fantastic panoramic views, and you get to see St. Michael's Church on the way, and it's just a really beautiful walk. Just bring sturdy shoes, non-slippery shoes, and you're going to be fine. The gracefulness of the wild nature up here was overwhelming, and the charming Byzantine-era Holy Trinity Church below the castle walls seemed to have chosen just the perfect place to witness it all. Back down in the old town, I visited the historical Jamia Mbret, or Sultan's Mosque, which is part of the complex of the Islamic Center and was built by Sultan Bayezid II at the end of the 15th century. It consists of a magnificent prayer hall with a massive painted ceiling, the Hayat, and the minaret. In the late afternoon, I once again chose to head up to the castle to enjoy the warm winds of the incoming evening, while the mountainous landscapes were graced by the last shimmers of light of the disappearing sun. For the late evening hours, I chose to head down to the river, where I rested at the far end of the new bridge of Berat, which was beautifully lit. The views from here were mesmerizing. I stayed the night in one of the many historical guest houses in the old town, which offer affordable and convenient accommodation in a unique setting. For my next destination, I headed into the mountainous area of southern Albania. I was going to Gjirokaster, also known as the Stone City, and yet another UNESCO World Heritage Site. Steeped in history and known for its well-preserved Ottoman architecture, Gjirokaster offered me a journey through time. The Ottoman influence is palpable everywhere in the old town. Stone houses with slate roofs, grand facades and large windows, charming restaurants, colorful bazaars, and unique fortifications each provide different facets of the city's rich and diverse heritage. I started my tour of the old town at the Old Bazaar, a lively market where I was able to experience the vibrant local culture. This was a great place to shop for traditional crafts, textiles and souvenirs. In the evening, the bazaar becomes home to various cafes and eateries. Since I was hungry, I found an excellent spot to try the delicious local cuisine. Restaurant Kujtimi is family-owned and had some fantastic affordable sampling platters that offered many of the culinary highlights of Albania. After the good meal, I headed up to Gjirokaster Castle, a massive fortress that dominates the city's skyline. It dates back to the 12th century and has undergone several renovations over the centuries. Within the castle walls, I explored the Museum of Armaments with its many massive cannons, the iconic clock tower that provides beautiful views with a backdrop of the valley below, and the prison where Ismail Kadare, a famous Albanian writer, set his novel The Castle. The castle gardens are even a final resting place for a US Air Force T-Bird aircraft. The plane had gotten lost on a flight in 1958 and forced to land in Tirana, a big symbolic victory of the communist regime. It is in a sorry state now, but still tells the story of the Cold War era. From the castle grounds, I marveled at the surrounding landscape and the delightful panorama below, with the many traditional stone houses, and one of the houses, the Sekate house, stood out. A notable Ottoman-era mansion in Gjirokaster, it shines with its prominent architectural design and is open for visitors to explore. Below the castle lies the secret entrance of a hidden communist-era tunnel, a military bunker designed to shelter high-ranking officials in case of an attack. I was able to tour a section of the tunnel, gaining a glimpse into the secretive and paranoid atmosphere of the Hoxha regime. The history of this place was palpable, and as the underground facility with multiple rooms and corridors was designed back in the 1970s, I felt catapulted back in time. The bunker includes living quarters, meeting rooms, communication centers, and storage areas, and lies behind thick doors that hid a self-sufficient and isolated environment with ventilation, generators, and communication infrastructure in the event of a nuclear attack. I spent the evening hours wandering the steep cobblestone-paved streets of the old town, sampling more delicious food and marveling at the beautiful lit fortress atop the town. The next morning I got up early. I was going further down south, making my way to the coastline. The drive there was nothing but spectacular. The narrow road that meanders along steep mountains provided the most memorable on-the-road experience of my trip. On the way, I stopped at the Blue Eye, a natural spring and water source with clear blue water, surrounded by lush greenery in a picturesque setting. The water's deep blue and azure colors are indeed stunning and have made this spot very popular in recent times. For me, it may have become a bit too popular, as the crowds at the relatively small pond were a bit overwhelming. I headed onwards to Sarande, the famous coastal town located in the southern part of Albania. A fixed point of the Albanian Riviera, surrounded by the Adriatic Sea to the west and mountains to the east, it is close to the border with Greece and serves as a gateway for ferry services to the nearby Greek island of Corfu. Saranda has a long history with roots dating back to ancient times. It was known as Anchesmus in antiquity and has been influenced by various civilizations including the Greeks, Romans, Byzantines and Ottomans. The town is known for its pristine beaches, rich history and proximity to archaeological sites which I would explore later. A great place to get an overview over the city and its surroundings is Le Corsi Castle. Perched on a hill overlooking the entire coastline, this fortification offers panoramic views of the town. The castle dates back to the 16th century and has been restored to house a restaurant with beautiful terraces where one can enjoy the traditional Albanian cuisine in the evenings. But now, the place was somewhat deserted, maybe because of the significant heat of the midday sun. The fortification is surrounded by the ever-present bunkers that remain the silent reminders of a bygone era, even here in the very south of the country. From the castle mountain, I headed down into the city, which was bustling with activity. My destination was the waterfront area with its chic cafes and bistros. The beach promenade leads to a pristine city beach that is framed by a small marina and more cafes and restaurants. This was surely a great place for swimming, sunbathing and water activities. For what should become my personal highlight of Albania's south, I continued my journey to Butrint National Park, yet another of Albania's numerous UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Butrint is located in the very south of the country, just at the border of Greece, and is home to diverse flora and fauna, making it a haven for nature enthusiasts. Yeah. But what makes Butrint world famous are the nearby archaeological sites of the ancient city of Butrint. I was amazed to discover a rich landscape of well-preserved ruins from various periods, including a Greek amphitheater, Roman baths and early Christian basilicas, as well as Ottoman-era structures and even a Venetian fortress. These remnants provide insights into the city's evolution over the centuries. The ancient theater of Butrint may be one of Butrint's most iconic features. Built during the 3rd century BC by the Greeks, it has a seating capacity of around 1,500 spectators and still offers panoramic views of the surrounding landscape. The Roman Forum in Butrint served as a central public space during the Roman period. It features the remnants of temples, administrative buildings and other structures that were integral to the city's civic life. After a short walk on pristine walkways that are lined with lush green flora, I reached the baptistry of Butrint. From here, I walked over to the impressive Great Basilica, an early Christian structure with a mosaic floor showcasing intricate designs and religious motifs. It is a testament to the city's transition to Christianity during the Byzantine era. Atop a small hill stands the Venetian castle of Butrint, also known as the Castle of Ali Pasha, which was built during the 15th century and later modified by the Ottomans. The castle served as a defense stronghold and still offers panoramic views of the surroundings and the larger Butrint National Park, which also includes natural elements such as wetlands, forests and a lagoon. The legacy of the diverse civilizations that have shaped the region over millennia was palpable here, and I was enthralled by this enchanting place that is a must-see for any Albania visitor. Even if you are not a history buff, it is hard to escape the fascination of this place that seems tucked away in this remote part of the country. Enthusiastic about the archaeological discovery of Butrint, I was determined to see yet another historical highlight Albania has to offer. For this, I had to take the long drive back north, taking the route along the coast in western Albania to the site near the city of Fier. Established in the 6th century BCE by Greek colonists, Apollonia, also known as Apollonia of Illyria, is an ancient archaeological site that holds the remains of a significant city that remained important throughout various periods, including Greek, Roman, Byzantine and Ottoman times. It was named in honor of the Greek god Apollo, but then flourished as a key center for trade and culture in Roman times. The city had a strategic location along the Via Egnatia, the major Roman road connecting the Adriatic Sea to Byzantium, the modern-day Istanbul. It was a hot summer day and the midday sun was relentless, but that did not prevent me from heading on a walk through Apollonia's archaeological park. The perhaps most impressive structure was the Odeon, a small theater used for musical performances. Other remnants told the story of Buletorion, the council house, the library, storage quarters and temples. In the Byzantine period, the Church of St. Mary was added to the structures within the city walls, catering to the increasing Christianization of Apollonia. Before continuing my journey, I made sure to pass by the small but well-curated archaeological museum that houses artifacts and exhibits discovered during excavations and provides additional context to the city's history. Just an hour drive further north, I reached the nature reserve for Divjake National Park. This lush green park, covered by pine forestry, encapsulates the large Karavasta lagoon, behind which a small landmass separates the lagoon waters from the Adriatic Sea. It is one of the largest lagoons in the central Mediterranean basin and offers a spectacular panorama of wetlands, pine forests, wildlife and more. A great starting point for an excursion is the tall Kula 360-degree tower that provides a viewing platform that surpasses the surrounding treetops. From here, walking paths lead through the forest to the shore. the way back to the car, I spotted pelicans, a stork, and even some guinea fowls near the visitor center. They seemed to also very much enjoy the serene atmosphere here. A bit further south, I reached a beach where I spent a few more quality hours at the pristine shores of Albania's coast. The next day I headed to Kruje, a historic town north of Tirana and known for its rich history, cultural significance and picturesque setting. Kruje has a history dating back 2000 years. It was an important center during the Illyrian and Roman periods, and in the 15th century it gained prominence as the hometown of Skanderbeg, the national hero who led the resistance against the Ottoman Empire. Upon arrival, I started my explorations at Kruje Castle, a medieval fortress that offers panoramic views of the surrounding landscape. The castle walls house a Skanderbeg museum, which showcases exhibits related to Skanderbeg's life, the resistance against the Ottomans, and the history of Albania. Gjirokaster, Skanderbeg's Albanian name, ranks high in the military history of that time as the most persistent and ever victorious opponent of the Ottoman Empire during its heyday. He is widely honored in modern Albania and is commemorated with many monuments and cultural works. Kruje Castle was built in the 5th or 6th century, and this modern version of it, restored and renovated in the 1980s, is today one of the most visited places in Albania. And the history of this place is indeed impressive. After Skanderbeg's rebellion in 1443, the castle withstood 3 massive sieges from the Turks, respectively in the following years, and even Mehmed II, the conqueror himself, could not break the castle's small defenses until 1478, 10 years after Skanderbeg's death. I headed back down to the old town, walking on the cobblestone paved streets of Kruje's Old Bazaar, a vibrant market where sellers offer traditional crafts, souvenirs and handmade products to an ever-increasing influx of visitors. The last day of my Albania tour had arrived, and Albania should once more impress me with yet another unforgettable experience. As the final highlight of my road trip, I headed to the very north of the country to Shkoder. Shkoder, or Shkodra, sprawls across the plain of Byskodra, between the southern part of Lake Shkoder and the foothills of the Albanian Alps on the banks of Buna, Drin and Kir. This also places it quite close to the border with Montenegro. The city's history dates back over 2400 years, making it one of the oldest and most important cities in the country and one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the Balkans. The architecture of Shkoder is particularly dominated by mosques and churches, reflecting the city's high degree of religious diversity and tolerance. I started my tour at the shores of Lake Shkoder, the largest lake in the Balkans, which is shared between Albania and Montenegro. Here I enjoyed the tranquil atmosphere of the early day hours, watching geese clean their feathers, observed some whiskered terns hunt for fish, and dozens of ducks taking their morning bath, while others preferred to enjoy the soothing shade of the fishing boats ashore. From the lake, I headed to town, where I went straight to the main pedestrian street of the old town. A lively area with cafes, shops, and a vibrant atmosphere, especially in the evening hours, when the street really comes alive. For now, the street was still fairly quiet, and I decided to pay a visit to the Marubi National Museum of Photography, which houses an extensive collection of photographs documenting Albania's history, culture, and daily life from the late 19th to the early 20th centuries. The end of the pedestrian street is crowned by the elegant Abu Bakr Mosque, which is a lovely mosque right in the heart of the city. It stands beautifully in a large lawn and garden and is a real focal point of the square. Its design reflects Ottoman architecture, and the large window fronts made this one of the lightest mosques I've seen in all my travels in the Balkans. From here, I headed over to the Kisha Cattoliche Francescane, a Catholic church that was constructed before communist times and turned into a cinema during the time of the regime. Today, it commemorates 40 martyrs who were actively resisting the 1970s. But the ultimate highlight of Shkoder is undoubtedly Rozafa Castle, a historically significant landmark that overlooks the city on a strategic location where the Buna and Drin rivers meet. It has ancient origins with Illyrian, Roman and medieval structures. The castle offers panoramic views of Shkodra, Lake Shkodra and the surrounding mountains. The castle is associated with the famous Albanian legend about a woman named Rozafa. According to this rather gloomy legend, 3 brothers were building the castle, but the walls would collapse each night. An old man advised them to sacrifice someone they loved, and the first person to bring them food for the next day was Rozafa, the wife of the youngest brother. She willingly sacrificed herself by entering the walls of the castle and agreed to be buried alive, ultimately leading to a successful construction. I explored the various structures, including a medieval church, a mosque, a cistern, defensive walls, towers, gates, and remains of residential buildings. I was able to climb the towers, walk along the walls, and appreciated my journey through different historical periods of the site. As the day came to an end, I submerged myself in the enthralling atmosphere of the scenery, which was magically engulfed in the most tantalizing colors of the soothingly warm late afternoon sun. I could not have wished for a more fitting finale for my trip. Albania had exceeded my highest expectations, and the fascinating places and experiences, the delicious food I had every day, and most of all, the utmost kind people I met will forever be ingrained in my memory.